The meeting was supposed to be symbolic. That's how Daniel framed it. A celebration of growth. He'd said in the group email, copying cousins, uncles, even my mother, who still referred to dividends as the extra money thing. Technically, it was our annual shareholder meeting. Practically, it was a family reunion with spreadsheets. We held it in the top floor conference room of the headquarters, glass walls, long walnut table, city below us. Daniel liked rooms that reflected him back at himself. He stood at the head of the table that afternoon, jacket off, sleeves rolled, performing ease. The presentation screen behind him glowed with charts in aggressive shades of blue. I sat halfway down the table, hands folded, listening. That had always been our arrangement. Daniel projected. I built. When we founded the company 12 years ago, it had been his idea, or at least, his pitch. He had the energy, the vocabulary of ambition. I had the background in operations, risk, compliance, things that don't trend on social media but keep doors from closing. Our family invested early, small checks from savings accounts, enough to feel involved. Not enough to understand governance. Daniel spoke for 40 minutes. Expansion plans, market dominance, repositioning leadership for agility. That phrase landed heavier than the others. I knew what was coming. He turned toward me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. My brother, he said, gesturing casually, has done admirable work in the background, truly. But we're entering a new era. We need bold vision, not cautious delay. There were nods. My uncle leaned forward. My mother watched Daniel the way she used to at his school assemblies. Daniel's voice sharpened. You're just a loser, he said, looking directly at me. I'm taking control of everything. The word loser hung in the air longer than it deserved. And then, applause. Not thunderous, not unanimous, but enough. It's strange how quickly a room can shift allegiance when confidence is loud enough. My cousin Mark even whistled softly. I didn't move. Inside, I felt something familiar, not humiliation, not even anger. Recognition. Daniel had always equated volume with authority, and our family had always equated his certainty with inevitability. He continued. As of today, I'm stepping in as sole executive authority. We'll streamline decision-making. No more bottlenecks. He didn't look at me again. He assumed the announcement itself was sufficient. No one asked procedural questions. That was the problem. I let the silence settle. Not dramatic, just patient. At the far end of the table, Marianne, our CFO for the past 8 years, closed her laptop slowly. She had been with us since the second round of funding. She wore practicality like armor. She stood. It wasn't theatrical, it was procedural. Sir, she said evenly, addressing Daniel. Any changes to executive control require approval from the 75% shareholder, per the amended bylaws filed 3 years ago. There it was. Not emotion, not sibling rivalry. Bylaws. The room paused. Daniel blinked. That's irrelevant. I hold. Marianne didn't raise her voice. You currently hold 20%. Family members collectively hold 5%. The remaining 75% is consolidated. She turned her head slightly toward me. You could hear the air conditioning. Daniel's smile faltered. Consolidated where? In a controlling block. Marianne replied. Registered to your brother. It's difficult to describe the expression that crossed Daniel's face. Not outrage at first. More like a recalculation that refused to compute. That's impossible, he said. It wasn't a shout yet. It was disbelief. I finally spoke. It was disclosed during the Series C restructuring, I said. You were present. That was minority investor cleanup. He snapped. It was governance consolidation. Marianne corrected gently. 3 years earlier, after a failed expansion Daniel had championed, our largest external investor had demanded structural stability. They didn't trust charisma. They trusted continuity. I negotiated quietly, bought out 2 smaller stakeholders using my own capital, accepted a heavier personal risk to secure long-term voting control. Daniel had signed the documents. He just hadn't read the implications. Applause doesn't amend contracts. The room felt smaller now. My mother looked confused. What does that mean? It means, Marianne said carefully, that no change in executive leadership can occur without majority approval from the 75% shareholder. She didn't dramatize the final word. Shareholder. Daniel's composure cracked then? You went behind my back, he demanded. No, I said. It was on record. You manipulated the structure. I stabilized it. His voice rose. You think hiding behind paperwork makes you powerful. I considered that. Paperwork is power, I said quietly. In companies, there was no satisfaction in saying it, just clarity. Around the table, relatives avoided eye contact. The earlier applause felt misplaced now, like laughter at a joke that wasn't funny. Daniel's anger shifted from accusation to exposure. So you planned this, you waited. I shook my head. I built the company with you. I protected it when it was at risk. And now you're blocking progress. No, I said. I'm blocking volatility. Marianne resumed her seat. For the record, she added, typing into her laptop, no motion to transfer executive control has been recognized or approved. Her words entered the minutes. Formal, permanent. That was the real shift, not the silence, not Daniel's raised voice. Documentation. Daniel sat down abruptly. The room didn't clap this time. We continued the meeting. Or rather, I did. Financial forecasts, risk assessments, expansion proposals that required phased implementation instead of dramatic announcements. Daniel remained quiet. The difference between us had never been intelligence. It was appetite. He craved acceleration. I studied thresholds. When the meeting adjourned, family members left in small clusters. My uncle patted Daniel on the shoulder but didn't meet my eyes. My mother approached me cautiously. I didn't know, she said. You didn't ask, I replied. It wasn't a reprimand, just fact. Daniel lingered by the window, looking down at the city as if it had betrayed him. You embarrassed me, he said without turning. I didn't say anything until necessary. You let her. She enforces governance. He faced me then. The anger had cooled into something more complicated, injured pride, maybe. You always act like you're above it, he muttered. I'm responsible for it. We stood there for a moment that felt less like rivalry and more like distance. I never thought you'd take majority control, he said finally. I never thought you'd try to take it from me publicly. He didn't respond. Authority, once clarified, doesn't roar. It settles. I drove home alone that evening. There was no sense of triumph waiting for me. No celebratory drink, just the quiet awareness that leadership secured in a boardroom often destabilizes a dining room. Daniel still owns 20%. He's still on the board. We still share a last name on corporate filings. But the illusion shifted that day. Applause had given him momentum. Bylaws gave me gravity. I don't know if he'll ever forgive me for consolidating control. I'm not sure forgiveness is the right word. Nothing was taken from him. Only assumed power was corrected. The company will move forward. Carefully. Profitably. As for my brother and me, our conversations are now measured, professional. The warmth we once had has thinned, replaced by awareness. Authority revealed in public rarely returns relationships to their previous shape. But companies, unlike egos, require structure. And structure, once spoken aloud in a room full of witnesses, cannot be shouted away.